Now let's get into analysis mode. We are now joined via Zoom by political analyst Professor Andre Duvenhage to discuss more around the Imbizo and just some of the promises that have been made to the Free State community. Prof, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Nice talking to you.
Prof, of course, we know that this latest Imbizo comes at a time where, Mangaung as a metro is facing a number of challenges. Of course, Cabinet again placing the Mangaung municipality under administration, including some of the things that have been cited, for this reason include financial mismanagement, lack of leadership, governance flaws, etc., etc. Having listened to the Imbizo, to the president and the ministers, what is your sense in terms of getting this municipality on track?
Well, let's generally analyze the situation. I think if we look at local government in general in South Africa, it is facing major challenges. But we had a watershed decision in the fact that both Mangaung as well as a local municipality in the Eastern Cape is put under national administration. That is to tell us that the provincial management cannot deal with the problem. And this is an indication also of the seriousness of the challenges that we are talking about. And my hope is that the president can deliver on these promises. To me, it's a bit of a problem that national government intervene in the situation of local government, because we are talking about separate spheres of government. But clearly we have a situation where intervention is necessary and we have no other choice, and hopefully this can assist the metro in such a way that it can deliver services, that it can function in a proper way. At the moment it is not the case. But again, as I mentioned, since 1998 up to 2018, there were about 140 about unsuccessful interventions in local government from a provincial level.
And in fact, if we had to look at the 2020-2021 PFMA of the Auditor General, 23 municipalities in the Free State, 12 received qualified audit opinions with 4 disclaimers and 3 had outstanding financial statements. 4 municipalities received unqualified audit opinions. One of the problems that have been cited about just the mismanagement in Mangaung is the infighting amongst the leadership. To what extent do you think now that this is going to be in the hands of government that will be resolved so that we do see some improvements? And I want us to discuss just some of the promises that have been made, particularly by the Human Settlements Minister. But, if you have to look at just the kind of problems that this municipality is facing, where do you think, from a leadership perspective, they will make inroads?
Well, I think the problems are a bit more comprehensive than only the internal conflict and squabbles within the ANC. Clearly, this is at the core of the problem, and we know about the infighting in this province over the past 2 or more decades. So yes, it is part of the problem. But the other side of the problem is that we need to have skills, to have the capacity to deal with finances. And unfortunately, the government's policy to marginalize people with the necessary skills and deploy cadres in positions where they do not possess the necessary skills and experience is a huge part of the problem. And hopefully the government can now come with solutions so that they can deploy people that do have the capacity to take the situation forward. Because what we need is capacity, skills, and also ethics and values. And ethics and values is very critical because if we do not have ethics and values, then we end up in corruption, and if we have endemic corruption, then we end up in state capture, and in the Free State, the name of Ace Magashule is very high in this regard. And clearly, the province need to have a turnaround to go back to the principles of good governance. And hopefully, the national government and the leadership coming from that direction can help direct the province in the right direction.
How confident do you think the people of the Free State are with some of the announcement that were made? Minister Mamuluko Kubai saying 30 million rands has been prioritized to remove asbestos roofs in the province over the next 3 years. In fact, she mentioned that it will start on the 1st of April. I think that's just one of the only minister that had some sort of timelines in place as it relates to that. But we know, of the 2014 contract to assess and remove asbestos houses matter is now in court. Fraud and corruption charges leveled against the former Free State Premier at the time, as you've mentioned, suspended Secretary General Ace Magashule and 15 others. How confident should the people of Mangaung be, in fact, of the Free State, when they hear that government has committed again, to put money into a problem that should have been sorted a long time ago?
I think the ordinary citizen and the people, also the people from within the ANC, are very concerned about empty promises. We have listened to a lot of promises through every election. When we meet politicians, they are always saying we are going to do A, B, C, and D. And at the end of the day, it didn't materialize. So I think people are not very optimistic about the promises. I think it is time also for national government, but also provincial and local government structures to deliver on their promises. At the moment, we are far away from that, especially when we look at local government, especially if we look at the current situation in provinces like the Free State, but also my home province of the Northwest. And I think it is time for government to deliver. And one positive aspect of the Ramaphosa government is that they are prepared to go and look the people in the eye and tell them they are prepared to make a difference. And hopefully the political will, the capacity, and the energy exist to make the difference, because this is very important, not only for the Free State as a province, but also for the country on a national level and for our whole democratic dispensation.
Prof, just another matter that has been cropping up in various provinces, and that is the issue of foreign nationals. One would have thought that in the Free State there wouldn't be that kind of problem, but yet again, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and in fact also the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, was responding to some concerns that were coming out, from residents about foreign nationals in the province, being blamed for committing crime, for instance, and some also, just complaining about the fact that they are, also taking some of their jobs. I mean, how is government expected to be handling this conversation? Are they currently doing a good job about it, if you also have to take into consideration what is happening in Diepsloot at this moment?
Well, clearly, they are not doing a good job. In the first place, we need to ask the question, why are there so many illegal immigrants in South Africa? Now, the figures is anything between 3 and 5 million, depending on the source you are using. But what is very interesting is that these people are contributing to our economy in many ways, while some of our own citizens do not want to contribute. And that is a serious problem. We sometimes need also the skills of foreigners to assist us in some way. And this is contributing to internal conflict and lack of social cohesion. But the starting point here is that we need to secure our borders. Why are people influcting in our country the way they are doing? Why do we have the type of criminality we have? And that is a question we need to ask the Minister of Police and his respective police officers. So this problem is a very complicated problem. My concern is that this problem in a way is politicized at the moment, and it seems as if this conflict is becoming part of the internal conflict within the structures of the ANC. It's a way to put pressure on government. Now, I am in no way in support of people illegally entering South Africa, but I am also concerned about people using the position of illegal immigrants to make political gains, and that is a huge concern to me at this point.
Prof, before I let you go, I need to ask you about another story we're obviously monitoring developments of, and that is in KZN, where the ANC is holding its regional elective conference to elect new leaders. Of course, former eThekwini Mayor Zandile Gumede will be going against the Speaker in eThekwini Council, Thabane Nyawose. Just some of your analysis on what is likely to happen at that regional conference.
Well, I think from a Ramaphosa perspective, the provinces nationally, in a huge way, is supporting him. We have seen that in Gauteng. We have recently seen that in Mpumalanga. The tendency is also within the context of Northwest, and maybe there are even positive tendencies in the Free State. But the problem is lying with the KZN province. And I must tell you, the biggest mobilization against the national ANC is in KZN. And my take on the situation is that it is not impossible that Zandile Gumede can win that election. And now we know that is extremely problematic, because as a result of corruption and other charges against her, she was asked to step aside. And what if she won and she's not going to step aside? Are we going to see a rebellion again, as we have seen during July 2021, which was basically an insurrection from within the ANC against the ANC? That is not impossible. So the dynamics within KZN can have a huge impact, not only on the politics of that province, but on the national ANC and maybe even on the national politics of South Africa.
Prof, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Political analyst Professor Andre Duvenhage there, just discussing the wrap of that imbizo in the Free State by President Cyril Ramaphosa, as well as cabinet ministers. Of course, the professor also touching on other political stories that we are following for you this afternoon.